Almost any accomplishment in the history of the world has come at the hands of people who've taken risks. People who are willing to push the envelope. People who are willing to explore the unknown. And, the key thing about taking risks is learning. And if something doesn't work out, learn from it. And then you're able to move further.
If you play it safe, that makes you stupid. Because if you don't take risks, you don't get smarter. So you may know the answer, but you can't do anything. Because if you're going to be successful, you've got to take some risk. And when you take a risk, you make a mistake. And you might learn something, because we're supposed to learn from our mistakes.
See, that's what life is. See, you've got to be willing to give it all up. Because the only way that you can grow, you've got to risk. The only way that you can become your best, you have got to risk.
Sacrifice leads and gains follow. Don't look for any gains where there's been no sacrifice. Don't wake up and look for no gain. Don't look for your game to improve. Don't look for the record to improve. Without sacrifice, there are no gains.
You're going to fail. You're going to fail 10 times, 100 times, maybe even 1,000 times. But that's okay. Failure isn't permanent. Falling isn't permanent. You get right back up and keep going. And this time, you're going to be stronger, wiser, and you'll be more driven than ever. And for every 10 failures, you'll land one success. You have to love success so much that you're willing to fail 10 times before you can succeed once. That's how a winner does it.
Here's something else. Want to create a greater sense of fulfillment? Challenge your fears. Challenge them. Look those fears in the face and take them on. Don't allow them to rule you. Decide that you're going to take some chances.
And something else will take its place. If I quit, however, it will last forever. I dare you to take a little pain. I dare you. I dare you not to go home. Somebody said, I don't go home, I feel bad. Go through it. You ain't gonna die. At the end of pain is success.
You've got to be willing to risk. If you're not willing to risk, you can't grow in life. Life has no power when you're not willing to risk. It's that to laugh is to risk appearing the fool. To weep is to risk appearing sentimental. To reach out for another is to risk involvement. To expose feelings is to risk exposing your true self. To place your ideas, your dreams before a crowd is to risk their loss. To love is to risk not being loved in return. To live is to risk dying. To hope is to risk despair. To try is to risk failure. But risk must be taken, because the greatest hazard in life is to risk nothing. The person who risks nothing, does nothing, has nothing, is nothing. They may avoid suffering and sorrow, but they cannot learn, feel, change, grow, love, and live. Chained by their certitudes, they are a slave. They have forfeited their freedom. Only a person who risks is free.
I don't know how many of you remember or recognize the name Howard Hill. Now, Howard Hill was a good Alabama boy. He was an archer. They say he was the best in the whole world. He entered 287 archery tournaments. He placed first 287 times. He was so good, he retired early because the other archers started to get unwilling to compete for second place. I've seen newsreels of Howard Hill where from 50 feet away, he had split an arrow dead center in the bullseye. Then he would take the next arrow and split the first one. He killed a Cape buffalo with a bow and arrow, the most difficult game animal alive to bring down. He killed a Bengal tiger. He killed a 15-foot shark in under 18 feet of water. Or was it an 18-foot shark under 15 feet of water. Well, it was a great big one in his way down there. I do know that. He was a good one, there's no question. So now let me emphasize a point. I've never shot the bow and arrow professionally, but I'm an instructor extraordinary. I'm not certain, but I think that's French, which means I'm really good at it. As a matter of fact, let me tell you just how good I am as a teacher. If I could spend 30 minutes with any man or woman who will ever view this, providing your eyesight is good and your health is normal, at the end of 30 minutes, I would have you hitting the bullseye more consistently than Howard Hill could hit it on the best day he ever had. Sound like I'm bragging, but I'm not. I could do it. Provided, of course, you had first blindfolded Howard Hill and turn him around a couple of times so he wouldn't have a clue as, which way am I headed? And you might say, well, now, Ziegler, my goodness alive, fella, of course you could. That's ridiculous. How on earth could a person possibly hit a target he couldn't see?
Here's the problem with the least neglect. Neglect starts as an infection. And if you don't take care of it, it becomes a disease. One neglect leads to another. Worst of all, when neglect starts, it diminishes our self-worth, our self-confidence, our self-value. You say, well, how can I get back my self-respect? I'm telling you, you don't have to go to 29 classes. All you have to do is start the smallest discipline that now corresponds to your own philosophy. Like I should, and I could, and I will. No longer will I let neglect stack up on me so that I will have the sorry scenario 6 years from now, giving some excuse instead of celebrating our progress. Let's get kids involved in the least of this. One more, and then one more, and then another one, and then another one, and then some more. And the first thing you know, you're starting to weave the tapestry of a disciplined life into which you can pour more wisdom and more attitude and more strong feeling, more faith and more courage. Now you've got something, a vessel in which to put it. And now the equities start to flow. And the early return, I'm telling you, if you'll start this process, the early return will have you so excited. You'll commit yourself to this strategy for the rest of your life. You'll never go back to the old ways. Join a new crowd. Join a new group. The disciplines to do it. Take action.
You want to make your dream come true, you got to stay focused. Some people rather get even than get ahead. Stay focused on where you want to go. I just kept on doing what I was supposed to do. And so I was driving to the radio station. My opponent had over $20,000. I had less than $800. As I was in the radio station, the guy said, "You're going to make a commercial?" I said, "Yes." He said, "It better be a good one because that money can't go pretty far here." And I sat there in the middle control room and I was thinking, and here's what happens when you get still. Stuff will start coming. Something said, "Call your mama." You used to talk about your mother on the air all the time. Ask her to say a few words for you. That'll be a different kind of political spot. So I called my mama, and I had a gospel record playing in the background. And then I had my mother say, "Hello, this is Mrs. Mamie Brown. When I raised my sons, I raised them to be good children. When they got out of hand, I beat their behind and made them go right. Please vote for my son. He's a good boy." Usually in the state representative race, maybe 3,000 or 4,000 people will come out to vote in a primary. In that primary race, over 27,000 people came out and voted and said, "I'm voting for Les Brown because his mama said he's a good boy." I won, ladies and gentlemen. I won.